What's going on, everyone? John Matrix here. Hope you're doing well, having yourselves a wonderful day whenever you're watching this. We're going to be jumping back into the SCP universe here with another requested video for me to take a look at. This one is by the Vulcan. We're going to be looking at SCP-4769 Physics Teacher Keter Class Reality Bending SCP. So yeah, links will be down below, as always in the description. The original video without my commentary and reaction, and to the Vulcan's channel. So please do me a favor. If you enjoy this video as we go through it, make sure to give it a like. And if you enjoy the content that the Vulcan puts out, you haven't already hit that sub button on his channel, do me a favor, hit that sub button on his channel, man. Show him some love. He definitely deserves it. I would love to have you guys come and hang out and join us when we do these reactions live. If you want to join our discussions before, during, and after, as we're doing, these videos, there's a join button underneath the video. Join button underneath the video, as well as a link in the description to the YouTube membership benefits and tiers that I offer. You can get early access to videos. You can get access to sub Discord channels, etc., stuff like that. I plan on adding some more to the tiers soon. So check all that out. See if any of that will have any interest for you, if you want to take your support to the channel to the next level. With all that said, though, let's jump into the video. So again, this is SCP-4769 Physics Teacher Keter Class Reality Bending SCP by the Vulcan. Monitor on. Volume of Gouda. Let's go. A little quiet.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Miller, and the SCP we're going to be looking at today is SCP-4769. Object Class, Keter, previously Euclid.
So I would assume that, being it's called the Physics Teacher and it's a reality bender, he somehow, through teaching the laws of physics, is then able to bend them and thus reality. I'm assuming that's where this is going. Let's find out.
Special containment procedures. SCP-4769 is to be contained in a standard containment cell in a permanent state of unconsciousness, with cameras, heart rate monitors, and brainwave mapping equipment to be monitored by no less than 3 Level 4 Foundation personnel at all times.
Wow. To be left unconscious with a heart rate monitor, basically put in a coma. And to be watched by 3 Level 4 Foundation personnel at all times. Already sounding somewhat serious.
The subject is to be kept permanently engaged within an advanced simulation achieved through the direct stimulation of the optical nerves and the prefrontal cortex of the brain.
Literally put him in the Matrix.
A highly modified Cray
He is Neo. They've literally put Neo in the Matrix.
Supercomputer is utilized in the simulation of the containment environment. All hardware relating to the simulation of SCP-4769's containment environment is to be kept at a temperature below 190 degrees Celsius using a constant flow of liquid nitrogen. Upon fortnightly maintenance procedures, SCP-4769 is to be placed into a strong induced coma, and temperatures are to be increased to -50 degrees Celsius to allow technicians to survey the system for signs of disrepair and clear out debris which may impact the functioning of the device. Due to SCP-4769's abnormally high levels of brain activity, sedative effectiveness is reduced to a time span of roughly 3 hours. Consciousness of the subject is not deemed to be an immediate threat. However, this should be actively avoided to maintain the immersion of SCP-4769 within the simulation.
Right.
Description: SCP-4769 is a Class 4 reality bender with the appearance of an adult East Indian male, estimated to be around 50 to 60 years old, with an average body build and receding gray hair. Subject appears to be biologically human, yet does not require any form of sustenance to live. Prior to containment following Incident 4769-1, subject was found to be actively employed at university as a physics lecturer, and self-identifies as such. However, individuals found to have interacted with SCP-4769, which were interviewed uniformly, could not recall how or when SCP-4769 came to become a lecturer, its name, or if the subject entered or exited the premises at any point in time. Students directly taught frequently by SCP-4769 exhibited no anomalous or particularly strange traits of their own other than a relative lack of knowledge in physics-related subjects compared to other classes.
Interesting. So either he doesn't know anything about physics and isn't teaching them anything, or whatever he's teaching them they forget. Like maybe it's so advanced that as they go through it they don't comprehend it or something and they forget it, you know, who knows. Interesting.
Interviewees were administered Class B amnestics and released back into the public. SCP-4769 appears to have control over its perceived reality and is able to manipulate the physical properties of space around it in an undefined radius. Observation has revealed the subject's anomalous abilities are only activated through vocalization or written words. Subject seems oblivious to its anomalous abilities, even after their effects cause drastic alteration to its surroundings. SCP-4769 appears to be invulnerable to the effects of its own manipulation. However, it can be harmed directly by external forces. All attempts of photography of SCP-4769 have turned out heavily degraded, which Dr. Hopper theorizes may be a passive effect of the subject's reality manipulation and linked to its anti-memetic effects on individuals which it has interacted with.
Interesting. I think it said that he's unaware of his reality bending abilities, but is still able to somehow put out some kind of field that prevents any kind of photos, recordings, or whatever of him. Strange.
SCP-4769 rests in a dormant state during times outside of its teaching schedule, a time frame between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. During this dormant state, SCP-4769 is inattentive and extremely hard to coerce into talking unless the topic of the conversation is somewhat physics-orientated.
So he only really cares about going to teach at his 9-to-5 job. Afterwards, he basically goes into hibernation unless you're willing to talk physics to him. Interesting.
SCP-4769 has displayed doctorate-level knowledge within classical mechanics, thermodynamics, relativity, electronics, quantum mechanics, and astrophysics. However, it lacks a basic understanding of virtually anything else.
What?
Attempts to stop SCP-4769
Doctorate level knowledge within classical mechanics, thermodynamics, relativity, electronics, quantum mechanics, and astrophysics. But outside of those fields of study, it understands virtually nothing. This is really strange. Like, how could that even be, right? Like, you would think that other basic fields would have to be known and understand to be able to grasp those advanced fields. But I mean, we're talking about an SCP anomaly and a reality bender. So, and I guess it's Keter class too. So obviously it's some kind of, it can create some kind of danger, essentially, is where I'm going. So maybe it's related to that. Maybe you start talking to him about subjects outside of that field, he gets irritated and like just wipes you from existence, you know, like, okay.
4769 from discussing or writing about physics-related topics has resulted in SCP-4769 discussing these subjects far more vigorously than if left to its normal teaching schedule. As such, preventing SCP-4769 from speaking about physics is strictly prohibited to prevent unnecessary simulation resets. Addendum: SCP-4769, Dr. Hopper's subject discovery and containment. SCP-4769 was discovered by Foundation personnel after news of extreme slipperiness had caused sudden wide-scale car crashes on the road. Mobile Task Force Beta 23, Crowbar, was deployed to stabilize the situation and identify the cause of the anomaly. SCP-4769 was found in the center of the radius of the effect, absent-mindedly teaching a group of students. SCP-4769 acknowledged Foundation personnel and was compliant in its capture, if not mildly annoyed for disturbing others' learning. SCP.
Is it a situation where when he's teaching people about physics, reality just warps in weird ways around him? Because that's what it sounds like, right? Like they're talking about roadways being slippery. I'm assuming either they're wet or they were iced over in some kind of way and a certain radius around him. And for some reason, he just happens to be sitting here giving a lecture to people on physics out in the middle of this road. Okay, interesting.
4769 was transported for interrogation at site with no incident. Later analysis of the lecture revealed that the subject had neglected to account for friction within a hypothetical scenario involving the kinematics of a car on the affected nearby road. After presenting this to SCP-4769 and highlighting the error, it proceeded to correct the equation, restoring road to its previous state. SCP.
Yep, exactly right. So yeah, it's giving whenever it's giving a lecture on physics, if it makes any kind of mistakes on its equation, it then changes the laws of reality and physics around him.
SCP-4769's object class was reclassified from Euclid to Keter by Dr. Hopper. This was a lot worse than we could have imagined. This idiot makes a single mistake and we're done. Dr. Hopper. All civilians involved in the incident were administered Class A amnestics, and a cover story involving a sudden sleep buildup in a freak snowstorm was dispersed. Interview log. First interview with SCP-4769. Interviewed, SCP-4769. Interviewer, Dr. Hopper. First interview with SCP-4769. Interview conducted by Dr. Hopper in a mobile interrogation vehicle after first encounter at begin log, 1843 hours.
Hello, 4769. Please call me Reg. Unfortunately, I must refer to you as SCP-4769 as per Foundation regulations.
SCP-4769 diverts gaze from Dr. Hopper to the wall behind Dr. Hopper.
Are you okay to proceed with this interview? Yes. As I was saying, my name is Dr. H. Can you tell us how you got here? I don't know. What were you doing?
SCP-4769's gaze drifts onto Dr. Hopper's watch.
4769? Teaching. And what is it you teach exactly? Physics. Although I can teach maths pretty well too. Also, can draw pretty well, but sometimes I can get carried away. I completely lost last examination's results that way.
SCP-4769 again slips into a state of inattentiveness, seemingly reminiscing of the act.
Are you aware of what happened today?
SCP-4769 retains its state of inattentiveness.
SCP-4769, it's sir to you, young man. Do not answer questions when you have not been asked. It really slows down the lesson. If everybody asked a question...
It's almost like he's just in a constant state of like teaching, and when he's like put in a situation where he's not teaching, like his subconscious brain like goes into like a daydream state where he's still just teaching something. Interesting.
Question instead of listening to what I say the first time. Okay, we get it. Somebody please shut him up. Yes, 3 milliliters of midazolam should be fine. We're done here.
End log, 1858 hours. SCP-4769 continued rambling about classroom etiquette for the following 7 minutes before succumbing to the effects of the sedative and falling unconscious. Interview terminated. Excerpt from document 4769 Alpha, Dr. Hopper's simulation observation log. SCP-4769 observation log 12, 0912-2000. Location: simulated high school classroom. Cause: subject misspells spectra, S-P-E-C-T-R-A, as spectra, SPE-KTRA. Area of effect, 200-meter radius. Effect: spelling in dictionaries altered to match SCP-4769's assertion. Containment action.
So it's also like he's almost kind of creating like a Mandela effect in certain ways, I guess, maybe. I don't know if that's the proper terminology, but you know, where you think things are some kind of way, and then because of his ability to alter reality and because he thinks things are done in a certain way and they then become reality, but you know, maybe you still have some kind of frame of reference to how this word was actually spelled before, you know, I don't know. Interesting.
Simulation reset by on-hand staff under the supervision of Dr. Hopper. SCP-4769 Observation Log 79, 12/02/2000. Location: simulated high school classroom. Cause: subject asserts that objects of exactly equal mass cancel each other's gravity out. Area of effect: observable universe. Effect: simulation freezes. Several components of the Cray supercomputer heat up drastically and risk destruction before simulation is reset. Containment action: sedative administered. Simulation reset by Dr. Hopper. Cray supercomputer components upgraded to mostly be composed with a tantalum carbide and tungsten composite material. Additional temperature regulation cores installed within critical areas of the supercomputer. SCP-4769 Observation Log 103, 03/10/2000. Location: simulated university lecture hall. Cause: subject accidentally labeled the gravitational acceleration on Earth at sea level was 98 milliseconds minus 2 in a lecture. Area of effect: Earth. Effect: everything on Earth is exposed to the new gravitational acceleration of 98.0 milliseconds minus 2 and is compacted accordingly. Earth is reduced to a radius of kilometers.
Yikes. Like, I mean, obviously that's a profound effect, right? Like, he's shrinking the size of the Earth and thus the gravity that Earth gives off as well. I mean, he could literally... He sounds like he's one of the more powerful reality benders that I've heard of in the SCP universe. It's interesting that it's based on him, you know, making mistakes in his equations of physics, or, you know, whatever he's working on that are causing this. And it's essentially his mistakes and his thinking of them is what is altering reality. But the fact that he's literally changing the gravitational constant of the Earth and thus the size of the planet along with it, I mean, wouldn't that like destroy all life on the planet almost, right? Like if gravity was all of a sudden more compact, it would change the gravitational rotation of the Earth and the Earth's size shrunk, you know, like, wouldn't that be an extremely detrimental effect on all life on the planet? You know, wouldn't we all just die? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a situation where because he's altering reality like that, and the constant, that it's also altering all life on the planet to have evolved along with that gravitational constant. So then that just becomes the norm. So everything's, other than the planet shrinking and the gravitational change, everything's, you know, fine. You know, I don't know.
Containment action: sedative administered. Due to the strain on the simulation hardware caused by a fundamental rewrite to the physics engine, additional cores were added to the central processing unit to increase computational power.
Okay, so this is all happening in the simulation. And so the simulation of it changed. Okay. I thought they were saying like this actually like happened. I get it now.
SCP-4769 Observation Log 117, 07/05/2000. Location: simulated high school classroom. Cause: light speed incorrectly asserted by subject. Area of effect: undefined. Effect: simulation device experiences catastrophic failure, ceases function. Subject wakes up from comatose state. Containment action: subject issued with sedative. Simulation now programmed to reset immediately upon mention of light speed. Investigation into utilizing SCP-866 as a more effective means of simulation. Excerpt from document 4769 Beta, Dr. Hopper's simulation experimentation log. SCP-4769's ability to manipulate the laws of physics could prove to be a useful tool to better understand the laws which define our universe. The magnitude of scientific discovery possible which could aid the Foundation and humanity as a whole is simply too great to pass up.
I mean, he could figure out some kind of equation accidentally to, you know, create wormholes and do all kinds of things which could lead to who knows what kind of discoveries, you know what I'm saying? Like, he could end up writing some kind of physics equation that lets them learn how to manipulate reality in certain ways to where they can create, you know, 0-point energy and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Permission to run experiments within SCP-4769 simulation requested. Dr. Hopper. Testing approved by O5 Command on 11/08/2000. Dr. Hopper modifies the simulation to allow communication between himself and the subject through the avatar of a simulated student. Simulation reset after each test. Test 1. SCP-4769 is suggested to draw a diagram for a hypothetical situation where the sun is compressed into a black hole. Result: planetary orbits remain unchanged. After 8 minutes and 20 seconds, sunlight ceases. Results matched our calculations perfectly. Continue with testing. Dr. Hopper. Test 2. SCP-4769 is suggested to conduct an experiment where the efficiency of a DC motor is set to 110%. Result: DC motor appears to spin indefinitely and generates electricity without an external power source. Really excited about this next one. This could be the breakthrough we've been waiting for. Dr. Hopper.
So, like, on the one hand, right, they're having him do experiments where he is writing equations, you know, to get certain outcomes, right? But at the same time, aren't they only really working because he's essentially bending the laws of physics in his reality to make them work? Would any of these equations actually be applicable in our reality? You know, would they actually do anything? I mean, I guess it could lead them down branches of study to where they could apply them to certain things and certain other realities or whatever. But other than that, you know, would these really have any kind of tangible benefit?
Test 3. SCP-4769 is suggested to draw a diagram of a sustainable fusion reactor. Result: SCP-4769 drew a crude, childlike sketch of the outside of the reactor. When asked to draw the insides, SCP-4769 drew a model depicting 2 helium atoms undergoing fusion into a hydrogen atom. Cheeky. Dr. Hopper. Test 4. SCP-4769 is asked about what would happen if the temperature of water were to decrease to 0.000001 Kelvin, then briefly to absolute 0 Kelvin 2 seconds later, returning to greater than 0 Kelvin at the 5-second mark. Dr. Hopper specifically refers the hypothetical scenario to a 250 milliliter beaker filled with water to demonstrate its effects practically. The beaker was suspended 7 meters above the ground by a clamp sitting atop a table to best observe predicted effects. Result: the hydrogen lost all viscosity and became a superfluid, immediately sinking through the pores of the borosilicate glass, calculated to have an average diameter of around 0.92 micrometers, and continued sinking through otherwise impermeable material. The oxygen briefly transformed into a liquid state, then a solid, taking on a blue-tinted cubic crystalline form. The surrounding atoms coalesce together into a Bose-Einstein condensate, the atoms of the oxygen, hydrogen, and their surroundings becoming indistinguishable.
Okay, interesting. So they're essentially using him and giving him theoretical equations, because in this reality he can make them happen, so they can actually see, okay, theoretically we can't do these things in our reality, but because he's able to create these things in his reality in this simulation, we can actually see their effects in this simulation. That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope.
At exactly 2 seconds into the experiment, both the solid and the liquid became suspended in place, with zero movement detected from even a molecular level. All affected matter simultaneously became to the human eye. Simulation records affected atoms from test as far as light years from point of experiment at the 6-second mark. Was found in, seemingly, into a state of simulation reaches a critical temperature of degrees Celsius before reset at 6.3 seconds. We still aren't quite sure what we just observed. I don't think that was meant to be observed. I'm beginning to think there is a reason absolute zero isn't possible according to our laws of physics. Dr. Hopper. Test 5. SCP-4769 is suggested to divide a number by 0. Result. Supercomputer ceases operation immediately.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta kind of figure that's gonna crash the system, right? Like, none of our computer systems, I think, are designed to obviously work that way, because you can't really do that.
I really don't know what I thought was going to happen with that one. Still, we can improve from here on. Dr. Hopper. Testing ceased as ordered by O5 Command. Recall protocol. In the event of a containment breach, subject is to be carefully escorted into a temporary containment chamber and administered sedatives. Due to the oblivious nature of the subject, there is no immediate threat. It is advised that the subject is immersed in the simulation as soon as possible to avoid distress. Should the subject be uncooperative, the subject is to be sedated and re-immersed in the simulation immediately. Notes. SCP-4769 is beginning to show signs of remembering pieces of information from past simulation resets, expressing increasing levels of bewilderment and déjà vu. He's learning. Simulation resets are to be kept at a minimum from now on.
Then you just give him some amnestics. Lord knows they have enough of
lecture. Thank you for listening, if indeed you still are, and you were all dismissed. Goodbye.
All right, well, there we go. There we go. That was SCP-4769 Physics Teacher, Keter, Reality Bending SCP by the Vulcan. That was a pretty interesting SCP tale. You know, the idea that it's a reality bender and his power is essentially, I mean, I guess technically he could probably bend the laws of reality without having it to do with anything related to physics. It's just that's how his reality bending powers manifest, is through writing out in, you know, equations dealing with the laws of physics and stuff like that. But it's an interesting way to express, you know, a reality bender's powers, you know, that he actually is obsessed with physics. He just wants to constantly be teaching physics. He's not, he kind of goes into like a daydreaming state where he's not really attentive or paying attention to anything, you know. So it's an interesting idea. And then also the idea of, you know, using his ability to test theories and hypotheses that we wouldn't be able to do in our own reality to see what their outcomes are. Like, you know, the experiment they did with, you know, freezing waters to absolute zero and things like that, and seeing how the different molecules, you know, coalesce and play out, and et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, there would probably be all kinds of theoretical equations that they could throw at him and they could see how it would affect reality. Some of them might have practical applications in our reality. Some of them might not, because they're things that just can't happen due to the laws of physics in our reality, but because he's able to alter the laws of physics, they can at least just see, you know, what would happen if we did this? You know, if there was some kind of changed in a certain kind of constant to our reality, you know, what would happen, theoretical, and they could actually just see it play out. So that'd be pretty dope, honestly. That'd be pretty cool to see. I'm sure there'd be lots of scientists, physicists, etc., that, you know, wouldn't mind throwing some equations at him and seeing how things would play out. So interesting tale. But it also sounds like at the end there, he's starting to kind of, you know, Neo's becoming self-aware, and the simulation might be starting to have less and less effect on him. So, but yeah, again, that was SCP-4769 by the Vulcan. Links will be down below in the description, as always, to the original video, without my commentary and reaction, into the Vulcan's channel. If you could please do me a favor, if you enjoyed this video as we went through it, make sure to give it a like, and you know, hit that sub button on the Vulcan's channel if you haven't already. He definitely deserves love. He puts a lot of time and effort into his videos, and he makes a lot of great content in the SCP universe. So please show the man some love. Do me that favor. If you'd like to join us and come hang out when we do these reactions live, there's a join button underneath the video, as well as a link in the description. You can get early access to videos, priority any kind of reaction requests, access to some specific member channels in my Discord if you wanted to join the Discord. I'm going to be adding some more things to the membership tiers pretty soon as well, because we're going to be doing some more things here on the channel, so look for that. But again, you can also come and join us as we do these reactions live and join our discussions if you want to. So if you'd like to take your support to the channel to the next level, take a look at that stuff and see if any of that would have any interest for you. But regardless, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider leaving a like and a sub, as it would help me and the channel grow. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Have yourselves a wonderful day.